Much, and we appreciate him. My wife and I and our team, we're on a 30 city tour.
It began as an ordinary Sunday morning filled with worship, hope, and faith. Pastor Charles Jenkins, known for his passionate sermons and uplifting energy, was delivering a powerful message when something unthinkable happened. In the middle of his sermon, his voice began to tremble, his grip on the pulpit tightened, and before anyone could react, he collapsed. Shock rippled through the congregation. People screamed, cried, and rushed forward in panic. Trained medical members within the church hurried to his side, while others dropped to their knees in prayer. Within minutes, paramedics arrived, and the once joyful sanctuary turned silent. The flashing lights of ambulances outside the church became a symbol of fear and disbelief. What had begun as a morning of faith suddenly turned into a fight for survival. A moment that no one inside that sanctuary would ever forget. A battle between hope and uncertainty. As Pastor Jenkins was rushed to the hospital, the mood shifted from panic to prayer. The congregation, many still trembling, gathered outside with tears and trembling voices, pleading for his recovery. Inside the ICU, doctors worked urgently to stabilize him, confirming he was alive but in critical condition. The church was left clinging to fragments of hope. His wife, described as strong but heartbroken, stayed beside him, quietly asking for privacy while urging the faithful to keep praying. Church elders rotated visits, trying to comfort one another while managing the waves of fear among members. But silence from the hospital only fueled confusion and anxiety. With no clear answers, people were left questioning what had really happened. Was it a simple fainting spell, exhaustion, or something deeper? The mystery grew as the world outside the hospital began to take notice, and whispers quickly turned into a nationwide conversation. The internet erupts with prayers and rumors. Within minutes of the collapse, videos from inside the church began circulating online. The footage of panic and tears spread like wildfire, and soon, #PrayForJenkins was trending across social media. Thousands of people, church members, fans, and strangers alike, flooded timelines with prayers, messages of hope, and heartfelt tributes. But as often happens in the digital age, love and support were quickly joined by rumors and speculation. Some claimed it was exhaustion, others hinted at deeper struggles, perhaps linked to ministry politics or hidden health issues. The lack of updates from the hospital only made things worse. What began as a personal health emergency spiraled into public controversy. The internet became a reflection of both compassion and chaos, showing how quickly the world reacts, not always with patience, but with a hunger for answers that sometimes overshadows empathy. The hidden weight of leadership. As more details surfaced, insiders revealed a painful truth. Pastor Jenkins had been pushing himself beyond his limits. In the weeks before his collapse, he had been traveling nonstop, preaching at conferences, recording music, and attending meetings with little rest. Friends and church members noticed his fatigue, but he brushed it off, saying he was doing God's work. Like many spiritual leaders, he felt an immense responsibility to keep going, even at the cost of his own health. This revelation opened a difficult but necessary conversation. Pastors are human too. They carry emotional and physical burdens that few see. Behind the smiling faces and powerful sermons are long nights, sleepless worries, and the constant pressure to stay strong for others. Pastor Jenkins's collapse became a mirror for countless ministers worldwide who sacrifice their well-being in the name of faith, often without realizing how much they are losing along the way. Faith unites the nation. While doctors continued to fight for Pastor Jenkins's life, the faith community across America rallied in unity. Prominent figures like Bishop T.D. Jakes and Kirk Franklin called for prayer chains, and gospel artists dedicated songs and posts to him. Outside his Chicago church, hundreds gathered with candles, singing and praying late into the night. Their tears mixed with their hope, their voices rising like one heartbeat for their beloved pastor. Even as uncertainty lingered, their unity became a powerful testimony, faith in action. Yet, beneath the beautiful display of love, the storm of rumors continued online. For every voice praying, another questioned what had gone wrong. But in that tension between faith and doubt, something remarkable was happening. A community was being reminded of the power of togetherness and how even tragedy could draw people closer to God and to one another. A church divided between faith and fear. Despite the waves of love and prayer, division began to surface. Some members focused solely on believing for a miracle, while others demanded transparency. Why wasn't the church releasing more details? Was something being hidden? Others questioned whether leadership had ignored the warning signs of burnout. The story was no longer just about one man's health. It was about a system that often asks too much from those at its heart. Critics said, large churches place impossible pressure on pastors, expecting them to be endlessly strong while forgetting their humanity. Supporters countered that faith, not fear, should lead the response. Behind closed doors, church leaders met quietly, not only to discuss his recovery, but to plan for the future. If Jenkins couldn't return soon, how would the church move forward? The crisis forced everyone to ask difficult questions about responsibility, leadership, and the limits of faith. Inside the ICU, signs of hope and humanity. In the midst of the chaos, small miracles began to appear. Insiders shared that Pastor Jenkins had begun showing faint signs of awareness, subtle movements, brief moments of response. When he briefly opened his eyes, he whispered, "Tell the church, I love them." That simple sentence rippled through the congregation like light breaking through darkness. It reminded everyone that, despite his fragile body, his spirit was still fighting. But doctors remained cautious, warning that recovery would take time and rest. This news hit the church hard. For years, Jenkins had been their spiritual engine, the voice that never stopped preaching or leading. Now, they had to face the reality that healing might mean stepping away from the pulpit. It was a bittersweet truth. Sometimes, love for the ministry requires letting go, trusting that faith will carry on even in silence. The lesson. No one wanted to learn. As hospital updates trickled out, church elders faced a sobering reality. For too long, they had relied on one man's energy to sustain an entire ministry. His collapse forced them to face a truth they had ignored. No leader, no matter how strong, can bear the weight of an entire congregation alone. Discussions began about shared leadership, rest schedules, and how to support pastors' mental and physical health. Some even wondered if God was sending a message through this event, a divine reminder that strength must come from community, not exhaustion. Outside the hospital, prayers continued, but now they carried new meaning. The focus shifted from healing one man to healing a system, a call for balance, compassion, and collective strength within the church. It was a painful lesson, but one that had the power to bring lasting change. A community's awakening. The days that followed saw an outpouring of love unlike anything the church had witnessed before. Prayer circles grew, worship concerts were dedicated to Jenkins, and messages of faith filled every corner of social media. But beyond the emotion, something deeper took root: reflection. People began to talk openly about mental health, burnout, and the silent suffering of leaders who give endlessly. What started as a tragedy became a movement of awareness and empathy. Pastors from across the country admitted they too were tired but afraid to show it. Jenkins's collapse gave them permission to rest, to be human, and to seek balance. His struggle became a symbol of truth, that even the strongest shepherds need care from their flock. Through pain, the community found purpose again, realizing that faith is not about perfection, but about perseverance. A legacy of strength and surrender. Pastor Charles Jenkins's collapse will forever be remembered as more than a medical emergency. It became a spiritual wake-up call. It revealed the cost of carrying too much, the power of prayer, and the need for grace in leadership. His story resonated far beyond the walls of Fellowship Church, echoing through congregations and communities across the nation. Whether seen as a warning or a miracle, his journey united people in faith and compassion. As he continues his path to recovery, his message remains clear. Strength isn't found in never falling. It's found in rising again with humility and purpose. In the end, his story is not about a fall from the pulpit, but a reminder that even the most faithful need rest, love, and renewal. And through his struggle, the world was reminded that no leader stands alone when faith, community, and grace come together.